Hello there. Welcome to Minecraft Rebalance. Now, I may know what you're thinking. What the hell are you talking about? Surely after 20 major updates Minecraft is already balanced? Well, maybe not. This is a comprehensive rebuild of almost every single feature in the game. There are two differences between this and every other Minecraft is bad type video that you've already seen in your feed before. First of all, this one isn't a concept. It's fully playable, right now as a matter of fact. And second, I'd like to make it clear that I don't think Minecraft is bad. It's a great sandbox. It's just not a good game, to play through. We've done our best to alleviate that. Understand this though, the aim isn't to add or remove anything. For us the priority was always to bring out the best in what Minecraft already has to offer, not to add new content and certainly not to remove it. If you're fine with removing things, there's a fantastic mod pack called Raspberry Flavoured, made by much more talented creators than myself, that would be right up your alley. But we wanted to keep this strictly as what Minecraft already is. Reworks, not replacements. Let's start simple. This is gold. In vanilla Minecraft it kind of sucks. It mines quickly, but it doesn't have anywhere near the durability required to exploit that. It's also annoying to get in large quantities and doesn't match iron's mining level, which really makes it little more than a tool for strip mining. In the rebalance, gold has been buffed to be just under where diamond was. More on that later. To give us some space to work with, the world generation has been very carefully tweaked for all three dimensions. The overworld has new biome generation, but the terrain is mostly unchanged. As a result, you'll see the forests are much bushier and more cozy than they were before. The nether's height has been doubled. We also reduced the fog levels, which means you can see further, which means it's less of a hassle to find bastions and fortresses now. The end has received a slight makeover, but we didn't want to do too much because of the sheer uniqueness it already has, and we really didn't want to change that. It's received some biome variety to break up the plains, and it's now the only place where phantoms spawn. With all these world gen changes, the more savvy with Minecraft might be wondering what the ore generation looks like now. Well, here's a graph. Copper and coal are now the only surface level ores, with iron only really becoming a big thing once you're properly underground. Gold has mostly taken diamond's place as the rare material in the overworld, but you'll still find it more quickly than you will normally. Diamond, meanwhile, has been moved to the nether. You can find it in the roof, or as a common reward from bastions and fortresses. Redstone, owing to the unique purpose of it, has been moved to the bottom of the world, where it is actually rather common. Netherite has officially come out as transdimensional. You can find the newly appointed dendrite in the end, protected by the only phantoms. Loot tables have been overhauled. Almost every single chest loot table in the game, as well as a bunch of mob and archaeology tables, have been changed to better represent when and where you can find them. The items you can find are now of three categories: the loot you're actually looking for, items useful for prolonging your stay, such as food in the nether and wool in ancient cities, and fun bonus items like enchanted books and music discs. Pillager mansion cities and bastions now represent dangerous areas you can use to get a leg up early with enchanted gear, assuming you can outlast the horrors anyway. Owing to its odd position in the game's progression, the Strongholds loot tables have been slightly altered as well. Instead of possessing any kind of meaningful loot, they now almost exclusively hold armor trims. Tool progression has received a few changes as well. Here are the tools that you're so familiar with in vanilla, and here are the tools as they are in Rebalance. Wood, in the interest of simplicity, has been unified into a single paxel. Stone has been replaced by copper. Gold fits in between iron and diamond in progression now, and new paxels can be crafted using whichever material is a tier above them in order to save inventory. You may notice the line across the bottom. This represents the Tetra modular system. Tetra is here to fill a very particular role. That of being able to create unique tools with a specific purpose, such as insta-mining a particular material. There's also a couple of new materials exclusively for use by this Tetra system, just to help widen the mid and late game. Now, if I were to list out every single change we've made in this manner, the video would be 2 hours long. So in the interest of time and saving my time editing, here's a few sneak peeks. Elytra now feel weightier. Skeletons pull out a sword if you try to rush them down. Mobs can perform parkour. This is especially true for zombies. Instead of selling gear directly, villagers are now an early way to enchant your gear. Advancements and their menu have been overhauled. Iron golems no longer drop iron. There are new rewards for defeating the Ender Dragon and the Wither. Beds now require a room. And Herobrine has been removed. With that done, I feel as if I should talk some about the surrounding context of the project. This all began back in middling August, where my friend and I decided, do you know what, we'd like to play Minecraft again, as people tend to do every 6 months. But this time was different. We didn't want to just throw mods together in a big lump and see what stuck to the wall. No, we wanted to play something that was actually coherent, that had a goal and that had a reason to be. But we still wanted to be able to add our own mods, because we knew that having a mod pack that just automatically caters to our every need was unfeasible. So we set out to find a mod pack that did exactly what we wanted, or something close to it. A mod pack that we could meddle with ourselves, but that was still coherent at the end. Fortunately, we couldn't find anything. No, the mod packs on CurseForge and on Moderinth were justifiably all focused around either kitchen sink packs or on transforming Minecraft into something entirely new, both of which are great goals. It just wasn't what we were looking for. But after the end of the day looking for that, we thought, hey, it wouldn't be too hard for us to just make a data pack to stitch all of these mods together. We've done data packs before, and Mojang in fairness has done a very good job at making data packs a very easy to meddle with format. So that's what we did, and we spent the next week putting things together. And at the end of it, we ended up with something that played a lot better than Minecraft did. And we immediately ended up thinking, do you know what? We could make a system that probably feels better than vanilla Minecraft does, without even adding anything at all. That, as it turned out, was a damning thought that led us down a 2-month-long path to insanity. Before getting into the grit of this, let's get one thing clear. We made this a lot harder than it needed to be. Both myself and my friend, we love computers, and we love bringing out the best in what they can do. So, whenever we encountered a roadblock, we wouldn't go and do a quick Google search for the same tools everybody else used. Instead, we would spend hours on hours comparing and filtering through which tools best fit into our workflows, and hours more tweaking the source and configuring them to our liking. Almost all of the code I made for this project, all of the tools I used to quicken the process, and the limited scripts of this video were made in a command line. At the start of all this, we didn't even know how Git worked. As a result, a lot of our jobs in this pack boiled down to checks and balances. What did we want to do, and how long and how difficult would it be to implement? Working with data packs takes time, but it's ultimately a simple process that we have experience in, which means we know exactly what we're getting into when we sit down to change something. Modding isn't like that. Suddenly there are moving parts from potentially hundreds of different domains with unknown interactions. None of these mods know each other exist, they're not supposed to interact, let alone work in tandem. Teaching these new features to coexist in a manner that befitted vanilla was our biggest concern. Unfortunately, the limits of what could be done with only data packs and configuration showed themselves quickly. Sometimes modders just don't expect a duo of unstable lunatics to come and make their mod the central focus of their pack, and trying to move things around in the wrong ways can bring their delicate code and the game to a halt. In addition, though it's come a long way, data packs are still limited in some painful ways. Perhaps because of changes to the NBT data system in 1.21, the preeminent version for modding right now is 1.20, which means we couldn't use some of the really great features for data packs that exist in 1.20.5 and up. Features like being able to edit tools, or create brand new items just from data instead of having to make a mod for it. That said, some of these mods just didn't have configs at all, so having at least part of the pack be packaged as a mod was inevitable. Far and away though, the biggest problem of all was our decision to use the Forge modding platform. Dear lord, the Forge platform. Look, Forge is a great system. It's responsive, there's proper feedback for when you do something wrong, it's a pleasant enough system to write in. But my problem isn't with Forge itself, you see. It's with the Forge documentation, or rather, the lack thereof. Forge documentation kind of sucks, mostly because there just isn't any for most things. I'm sure this is because you're supposed to use it with an IDE, but that's always felt like a plaster fix to a problem that shouldn't really exist if you're documenting the changes you're making over time. And I don't really like the idea that you have to use an IDE in order to make a system, so out of sheer stubbornness, I ended up working on this almost entirely from a command line again, which I needn't say was a mistake. But with enough running around Minecraft's official mappings, I was eventually able to learn enough to get our ideas off the ground at least, even if they're not always implemented in the best manner. The reason we had to use Forge instead of Fabric to create this pack was simple. Although Fabric would have been the better tool to use if it was possible, there were 5 mods that needed Forge specifically: Tetra, Quark, Backup Beds, and Zombies and Skeletons Reworked. Of these, the only mod that we found irreplaceable, at least for this version, was Tetra. It's by far the most vanilla-friendly modular tools mod, and its impact on the game's feel was great enough to persuade us to make Forge work. We were able to get away with adding the few Fabric mods we wanted thanks to Sinatra Connector, an excellent compatibility layer that Enchantment hates normally. If you try to set it up on your own thing alone, it would not work. There are mix-ins in Enchantment that don't function with Sinatra currently. The only reason Enchantment is working on this pack is because my friend personally went back into Enchantment's code and compiled a different version that didn't have those mix-ins, which naturally causes a few errors that we currently just don't know how to fix. It's not within our skill set, but it will be. There were also a bunch of hurdles that we had to jump through just in accordance with our own ethical requirements. TLDR, we ended up setting up a Forge Joe for this, which I don't know how I got through life without really. It's genuinely one of the most useful tools that an aspiring programmer can learn. You might also have noticed that over this segment I've been jumping up and down the game's progression quite a lot, and that's for a very simple reason. Minecraft is a very short game. As a sandbox, it's functionally endless, but as a game, there's little more than 4 or 5 hours of actual content in the game before you beat the Ender Dragon and are officially done. If you'd like to try yourself, even if you're being relatively cautious, it shouldn't take you longer than 7 or 8 hours to get through the entire game, and we were never intending to change that, just to lean into it. Okay, so this next part is going to be unscripted, because being realistic for a few seconds, I've been working on this video for almost 2 weeks, and I have 13 minutes done, and at the end of the day I am a university student, I do not have the time for that. So it's time to get to the point that I've been trying to make for this entire video. At the start of this, my friend and I, we made it on a whim. We never intended to make an enormous mod pack that aims to solve the vast majority of the problems present in vanilla Minecraft. All we were expecting to do was make a system that was fun. It was originally going to be a kitchen sink, so the mod pack wasn't built out of what we directly wanted to do at the time. It was made from necessity. Simply that a mod pack like it just didn't exist. And that's a real shame. People should have the ability to start from a pack that works well and go for something better, which at the end of the day is what this is for. Earlier on I mentioned that 1.20.5 broke quite a lot of mods, and that's true. But 1.20.5 isn't the version that I'm suggesting you mod. You have the privilege of not having to deal with 1.20.1, because you aren't trying to make an extremely obscure mod for Forge work, which means you get the pleasure of being able to do your systems on 1.21.1 Fabric, which means that you get to mess with the new component system, which lets pretty much everything that we did on this pack happen purely as a data pack, which makes everything so much easier to work with. With the additions that were made to Minecraft in 1.20.5, you wouldn't even have to add pretty much anything that we did in the mod part of this pack using a mod anymore. All of the foods can be changed freely, same for tools, same for weapons. That version alone turns this from a fairly complicated task into a quite simple one. I shan't lie, you won't get so great a variety of mods to access, but on Fabric the number of mods that haven't ported to 1.21 yet is much smaller than in Forge, so you get a lot more leeway for what you'd like to use. And of course, enchantment will function much better, because as I've already mentioned, enchantment is not supposed to be working on this. And as well, I should say that although creating this sort of project will be much easier for you than usual, then it's still a relatively complicated process. It's just not so overcomplicated that you're going to be completely overwhelmed. You can start one change at a time, and there's nothing stopping you from going back at pretty much any time you'd like. With the exception of world generation, obviously. You can mess with it in the middle of your survival world and really have no problem. Still, the lessons you learn just from trying something like this are incredible. Finally, one more thing I would like to add is, do I think that this, or something like this, should be the definitive version of Minecraft? Absolutely not. Quite apart from the fact that there's just no way it would ever get through QA, there are plenty of features here that, while they feel in line with vanilla, they definitely do not feel identical to vanilla. There are plenty of these ideas that would need once or several dozens of once-overs before you'd be able to even consider adding them as actual features. And that's fine. I do wish that they would look over old mechanics, it's true. But in particular, the more recent updates to the game, 1.18 is brilliant, 1.20.5 and 1.21 are also great, but they are fairly clearly missing somebody in their office who's there just to say, how does this help the player directly? So happy casts have been included in the game. Awesome. What's their use case? There are a lot of cases where Mojang has almost seemingly gone out of their way to ensure a feature will not see any use outside of being a novelty. In addition, over the course of time that I've spent making this video, we've constantly been talking about what we would do if we had access to a version 2, if we could make a second edition that had access to all these new data pack features and maybe even switch to Fabric. And the answer for it is, in short, a whole bunch. Fabric is a much nicer thing to mod than Forge, for me at least, simply because it has slightly better documentation and Yarn exists, which is a really good set of mappings that I find much more comfortable to use than Mojang's official documentation. That alone gives me a lot more space to turn this pack from something great into something truly special. All of this isn't to say that our way is the only way to fix this. There are a million ways to fix this, but it's a start. If you'd like to try our attempt, we've left the link both to the Forge Joe and the Modrinth page in the description. So I am begging you, I am taunting you to hear us out on this one.